Got MultiVersus comes up, and everybody kind of wonders what happened. Big question though right now is, can they make a comeback? Let's find out as Chris Scullion over at VGC tells us all about it. In its original form, MultiVersus has to go down as a perfect opportunity squandered. Kind of makes a lot of us feel that way, doesn't it, Scott?
Yeah, I think I agree for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. Warner Brothers take on a Smash Bros. Launched with a varied cast of characters and a bunch of fun special moves, given the IP at its disposal a vast degree of potential. When it launched, it also quickly gained the most critical of assets, a large player base willing to engage. After a few days, it was hitting Steam concurrent peak player counts of over 150,000 players, and within a month, Warner Brothers claimed it had been played by 20 million people. Dude, that's a big number. So then you go, what happened?
Yeah, I think a lot of people getting in the door was via Game Pass, and I think that probably accounts for a large percentage of the 20 million people.
Well, then the wheels fell off. I've already detailed what happened in the past, but let's put it a long story short. Season 2 combined with some silly monetization, such as a $20 skin, meant the player base bailed on it to a dramatic degree. Within 7 months, it dropped by more than 99%. What? Who? Man, like, I'm now scratching my head. You have 20 million people here. 20 million people have played your game. And then you just kind of hit them hard with a nice monetization of a $20 skin. Then you're not quite there yet. I think you saw the install base and went, let's see how high we can jack this. Like, that's what it came down to, man. They put,
really,
dude, $2, $3, $5 for a skin. $5 for a skin. And you say, what, 10% of the people out of the 20 million who played buy a skin? Like, what's so bad about that?
Yeah, you now have the wealth of a nation, and that's how free-to-play models are supposed to work. But the idea of jacking it all the way to $20 was nuts.
Yeah. After nearly a year on the sidelines, licking his wounds, developer Player First Games, I don't know if they even take that, man.
Player First, yeah. How offensive.
Right? Is now preparing to bring MultiVersus back. Before, it had the luxury of calling the previous release an open beta, meaning it could claim it was still just experimenting. This time, there's no such safety net. When MultiVersus returns on May 28th, it will be presented as the full game's release, Scott. We'll see. There is no second attempt. There is no third attempt. This is it. It either works or your game is done. Although my willingness to keep the faith meant I lasted longer than most, I was indeed one of those players who eventually bailed on it shortly before its closure was announced. Dude, I bailed on it too. I think a lot of us did. Well, 99% of it us did. Like, that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
That's why, when given the opportunity to try out to the revamped MultiVersus early and also have a chat with the game's director, Tony Huynh, I jumped at the chance to ask him what went wrong and see for myself what's being done to make it right. Cool. Here's what we got. What I heard and played gives me hope. Well, that's a nice insight right there. Already. High hopes. Let's see what happens. This is another thing Huynh told me was important for the team, and it's something I could relate to. The first time round, players weren't getting new content frequently enough. Welcome to the games of service. This was particularly problematic in the second season, where the lengthy battle pass grind made it feel like the team had secretly downed tools and left players to it. Quote, we had to really look at our current pipelines, end quote. He told me, quote, we were a really small team, and we look at it now, we're really set up to be able to deliver a lot of characters reliably, content reliability, and have a really precise and great experience from a content delivery perspective, with a ton of new events coming in and being able to give away a lot of cool stuff. And then there were a lot of things we had to do to allow for players just being able to earn everything or anything in the game. Now players can just earn, what do they call that? What is their currency?
Gleamium.
Gleamium? That's your currency?
Yeah.
All right. Which is
I would have gone with glittering prizes, but that's a Warcraft reference. I don't know if anybody gets it anymore.
Which is our premium paid currency in the game. So nothing's off limits to players at this point. Man, he continues on. This is a long one. At the end of the day, I think what we tried to really focus on was having the game be fun for you to play as, but also for players that play against you to have fun as well. And so, with our new mechanics and the foundational layer that we built up in the combat systems now, I think that's true. It's a much easier job for us to actually tune against that now. And again, not every character is going to be perfect at launch, but I think that we've learned a lot in the way that we build characters as well as the pipeline that we have. Man, he's still going, Scott. He's got a lot to talk about, which is good.
There's a huge amount to this original article. This is quite lengthy. Seems like about an hour-long interview, maybe.
Very cool. But also our base combat system now, I think, is more fun to play from a foundational level. And a lot of that is just simple learnings, but also execution on that as well. And that took time for us to build up that knowledge base and the team to do that. I think there's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon that I think will continue to surprise players. Knock on wood, we're able to avoid leaks and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be super exciting. Scott, sounds like they've learned their lesson. A year off might be enough. We will see when you get into that games as a service model. We talk about it quite often here. Then you have to have your roadmap lined up, ready to go.
Yeah, you can't be scrambling in the halfway through to fill out the rest of that content. It just doesn't work. And especially with something like MultiVersus, everybody's expecting so many different characters to come along, and a bit they've learned a bit about how to tweak and tune some of the characters. That's something that's kind of fighting game 101, if you ask me. But I'm not a developer, so I don't want to make too many comments to that degree. I'm just hopeful that when it comes back, we will be able to play, and maybe I'll actually be able to play as the Iron Giant for once.
Oh man, I played as the Iron Giant just the other day.
Oh.
Man, it was, I'll tell you, he's got some moves. He's definitely got some moves. But are you jumping back in on the 28th?
I am going to try it out, yes. I'm curious enough that I have to see just the differences, if nothing else.
Oh, that's fair.
But
yeah.
I have a hunger for a fighting game, and I don't have Mortal Kombat right now, so that'll be the one.
That'll have to do, I guess, eh? Let us know, are you jumping back into MultiVersus? ITGTV.com.